Hello, and today I want to talk about pyramids in 3D space. So, when I when I think about a pyramid, I tend to think of like a three-dimensional triangle. Um, I guess that's not always the best way to think of it, but in my opinion, that's kind of how I think of it. It's kind of like a combination of like I would say it's like a combination of four triangles and a plane. And I'm going to show you what I mean. It's like four of those plus a plane. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you everything. Don't you worry. I'm here for you. And that's how I think of it. I never really thought more about shapes than I did when I started making these videos. I'm going to add one other thing here. It is optional, but I always think it's also like to have like a toothpick or just like a line going down the center of these whenever you want to make them. So I want to say, I can't remember the resource that I learned to do this. It was probably Drawbox. It's always Drawbox. No matter how much I want to say it. But there is like a little bit of a secret to drawing a pyramid in 3D space. I just got to think of the best way to do it. But in general, what you do is you start with a good old plane, and you could start with these in different orientations. And in general, after that, the fourth time's a charm. And we have like a center point here. And normally what I did is I would rise that line, i.e. your toothpick, and then I would like extend it to like every of the four corners so that there's like some overlapping. And there we have it. Because it's cool, because we have, basically it's like this, right? That is one triangle, this is another triangle, this is another triangle, and this is another triangle. There's like four triangles come together with one bottom plane to make a pyramid. So I'm going to draw one on the horizon here. And, it gets weird because, it's like a very weird shape. And depending on how you're looking at it, if we're looking at it like on the horizon, it's going to be like just a triangle. But the important thing to know is that it is not just a triangle. And I'm going to show you why. So here we have our horizon. And, man, I hope I'm doing this right. I'm trying to think. Okay. It gets like really weird because, in this triangle, there's like, well, we have a bunch of sides we can't see, but that doesn't mean they're not there. They're definitely there. And it's like, basically it's kind of a bunch of squares getting smaller, like as as you go from the bottom to the top of the triangle, the square within that makes up the triangle is getting like progressively smaller. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna drop that line. Hey, look, we have an isosceles. I can't say I ever made one of those since I took a geometry class when I was in 8th grade. Or maybe that was 7th. Oh well. I don't need that line. But obviously, if you think about the center point, like where it kind of sits on the horizon, you have the square. And you know what? I'll show you the array. I'll show you how it kind of gets made up. I think a good way is to show, like, no, let me do that. Let me do the thing I always do. You have the triangle and you have a whole array of squares, but like going from the bottom, they're a lot larger. So let me think what the best way. I'll do like one at a time, starting with the bottom. Let me think. I'll show, like, I'll say that this one is like the largest. And you know what? Let me get rid of that. Let me make it a bit larger. And let me think for a moment how to best represent the backside. I would say, I'm sorry, I'm kind of going on a bit of a tangent here. I'll stick to what I'm originally saying, right? Or wait, let me think of this. Because there's definitely a triangle within the triangle. Because it represents a farther side that we can't see based on our perspective here, but it's still there. What am I doing wrong? I wonder if I'm visualizing this wrong. No, I don't think that's right. Why can I not picture this? I am probably making an egregious mistake because I can't visualize this in my head. Well, I guess it could make sense as that, but oh well. I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna stick to my plan. Okay, so like here, we have another square, but this square is like a little smaller than our previous square. And as we go, we have another square. Darn, you know what? I think I should have done that. I should have done that. I will fill that in a moment. Wow, why did I forget that? And just to like kind of jump to the midway point here, like at this point the square is getting pretty small, right? Because our pyramid is made up of a bunch of like squares getting progressively smaller. And eventually, I'll do another one. eventually we hit the top of the pyramid, and it's like a dot. And, you know, I guess that's probably the best way to visualize it. It's like the top of a line, and I guess, like, it would probably be a point, and I guess the only good way to talk about a point is it being, like, a dot, even though, like, I want to say that it would probably be, like, a really small square, and just because of the way you have to view it is that it's just a dot. And so going back to our pyramid here, you know, because at the midway point here, we're looking at it straight on, so it's a square. And I finally kind of remember what it's like, I believe. Because we can't see the other sides, I should have drawn like a triangle within the triangle to show how there's like, well, I guess you could say, well, the back side of the triangle is kind of getting smaller as the perspective changes. So like, I believe I have to be right here. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to say that like there's another triangle in here. I mean, that's just like representing the further side of it. I don't know why, like, I keep wanting to do that, but that doesn't seem right to me. I don't know why. Something seems like really off, and I feel like I'm doing something completely wrong. But I think the important thing here is that, look at this section here, right? Because it's a plane, it's kind of like that. Because we're from below, viewing it from above, the plane is kind of like above us, so you view it like that. And if you have a plane, like, let's say this plane here, because we're above it, it's kind of like, I believe it would be receding in this space, kind of like that. You know, kind of because we're above looking down, and it would be like, it's still a plane, but like I said, it's receding into 3D space towards the horizon, so it's kind of like that. Kind of like when we visualized, the cylinder. Now I'll draw one of those again. This is probably like my third video trying to show the importance of a cylinder, and I think they're really important to think about in 3D space. And you know, like here, here, right, that center point, because we're looking at it straight on, it's still an ellipse, even though it looks like a line from our viewpoint. And like all of these ellipses from above are kind of like that, and they get progressively more straight as they reach like the center here, and from below the partial ellipses are kind of like that. I believe I'm messing up the degree here, because I want to say the degree either gets wider, or no, it would be wider near the bottom, and as you go, it gets, the degree is less wide, I believe, as you go, until you reach like this point here, in which it's like, it's a line because of our perspective, much like how it would be like a line here. So yeah, it's really weird to visualize, I'd say, because you know, some of these objects are never so easy to think about in 3D space. I'm gonna draw a couple other ones, because like there's so much you can do with pyramids. They're like, I feel like they're a very underutilized shape, but there's probably a reason for that. I mean, you know, when I think of pyramids, they're sharp. They all have their purpose. I mean, they definitely served a purpose to people in the past, for architecture, for various tools. Even though I don't have one triangle in my room. Yeah, I don't have one triangle in my room That is so weird. You think I would have at least like one triangle shaped thing, but I just don't. Wow. I feel like no. I think triangles would probably be like a good thing as like a support to something, but you probably would just use a rectangle. Okay, let me think about representing a couple other, like, okay, I'm gonna do like a bit of an exaggerated pyramid. There's a book by, I think it's Bruno Munari, and basically he talks. He was I don't want to screw it up, but basically he has a book talking about the architecture composed of squares, circles, and triangles, and basically how those were all used in ancient constructions of architecture to meet various goals, and they all serve like a very important purpose. You know, I always think of the circle, square, and triangle as like primary shapes that make up all other shapes. I mean, as we talked about over here, you know, I feel like, you know, they're like the smallest parts to make up a whole, and I think knowing them is great for like whatever you want to do, because they're just used in so many different things. And now what I'm going to do is we know the center point, so I'm going to, well, let me think. No, that'll be a bad one. Yeah, why not? Let's do it there. You can mess with like perspective, pyramids. There's a lot you can do. But got a pyramid there. Even though it's like it could be difficult to visualize. I think it's one of those things in which like you have to draw a bunch of them before you start to understand them. I feel like with a lot of this that you really need to you just need to draw a ton until you can start comprehending them in 3D space. I feel like they're not always the easiest to comprehend by just someone explaining it to you. When I was going through various courses, I just like it just didn't stick with me. I don't know why. Until I started just drawing a crap ton of them. But yeah, I guess maybe it's a muscle memory thing. Maybe your brain isn't primed to see it until you do it yourself. That could be another method to the madness, is what I would say. I mean, only draw it if you're interested, or if you're taking some course and you have to. I mean, if it doesn't interest you, don't do it. But there's a plethora of stuff you could learn from primitive shapes. And there's probably a lot that I don't know either. But hey, it's all in the learning process. Got the center point. Let's do like an extreme one. Maybe not too extreme. Kind of extreme. Let's make it difficult for me because I'm too lazy to rotate my page. Yes, I am too lazy to click that button. Got a good old extreme pyramid. Okay, let me draw one other one. I think I could do this. I think I can do this. Draw another good one. I could visualize it. Yeah, it's kind of like a trapezoid. It's not a trapezoid. Just drawing a plane. And there we go. We have another pyramid. So yeah, I would say play around with pyramids if you're interested. If you need it, go ahead. There's a lot more. I may need to make another video on this in the future, I don't know, but if you have any questions, please ask below. You could either ask in the comments below, or you could send me an email, or you know, if you do have any questions. But I appreciate you watching this video. Thank you, and have a great night. Bye.